Good evening and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. I am Aaron. I am your DM, and we are back tonight for more of Cubicle 7's Wrath and Glory. We're in the Warhammer 40K universe, and we're exploring some trying times with our Tier 3 characters. So, for a brief recap, last time they went to an enclave of the Sisters of Silence in an attempt to get a navigational tool and return it back to the Veronius flotilla. They were there uh, as when they got there, they realized that Chaos Marines of the Emperor's Children chapter were attacking the Enclave and had successfully butchered almost all of the Sisters of Silence. In the end, they were able to fight off um, one of the Chaos Marines, and Gavious Veronis, in an attempt to save his sister, sacrificed his life, taking out a Chaos Sorcerer of the Emperor's Children. And that is where we left off. So we are going to start up again mere hours later. We see our team of only 4 now, after they've docked with the Ducal Coronet, the flagship of Jackal Veronius's flotilla. They are escorted by members of Jackal Veronius's personal guard into his private conference room. As the 4 of you filtered in, you've been through triage. You're basically walking wounded. You've been heavily mangled, but you're on your feet. Accompanying you are the 2 Sisters of Silence that you saved: Angelica Vintael, Gavious' sister, and Prosecutor Cillian. Once you file into the conference room, the guards pull out. The doors seal, and Talib, you feel all electronic communication completely silence around you. There is no electronic chatter. You are in a fully sealed room. Doors at the back of the room slide open, and for the first time, you are face to face with Jackal Veronius. You see a tall, dark-skinned man with dark brown eyes, almost black, short-cropped black curly hair. He's wearing power armor of an ornate and ancient design. Over that, he has got a navy frock coat specifically cut to fall well with that power armor, with epaulets and medals upon it. And at his hip, he has an obvious power sword that's been crafted into the form of a cutlass, of all things. The obvious wealth of this man is unbelievable. But it's his face that draws you in. This stern, quiet look. A sadness in his eyes, but a sharpness as well, as he takes each of you in one at a time. He pauses at the end of the table. My name is Jackal Veronius. This is my flotilla. Some of you traveled through the Great Warp Storm to the Gilead system as part of my flotilla. It doesn't matter which ones of you were born here in Gilead, or which ones of you came with me. You all are here now, and you have fought to protect the integrity of Imperial assets in the Gilead system, to help keep the darkness at bay. Each of you have allegiances outside of this flotilla. I understand that, and we're going to discuss that more thoroughly in a moment. But I want to pause first. The Veronius family has a long-standing tradition of acknowledging those who fell in our service, those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the family, or in this instance, for the Imperium. So I'm going to speak my piece first about your fallen comrade, Gavious Vintael. I'm ashamed to say that he has worked for me through my cousin Helene for months now, and I had never shaken the man's hand. But I have learned much in the hours since you have left that moon to come here. A young man of fierce conviction, elevated to the rank of interrogator, most recently within the Inquisition, which shows great dedication to the Emperor upon his golden throne and to the edicts of the Imperial Creed. For no one is elevated to the rank of interrogator without suffering trials that most would break under. I've spoken with those inquisitors that he has worked with, and they have both said that he was a man of uncommon willpower. His loss will be felt throughout the flotilla, even though most will never know his name. The fact that he traveled across that great warp storm in this flotilla without me knowing it, that's a burden that I'll have to bear. But to know that he made that trip to find his sister, and at that moment he pauses and looks over at Angelica, that he was willing to risk everything to come to this isolated system in the hopes of finding her shows faith that very few have. Daddy looks at Sister Celeste and Sister Nora. I do not know if you felt the faith of the man, but I think these actions speak for themselves. And then to literally throw himself bodily at a traitor marine of the fallen legions, a sorcerer of great power, to use his own mind to destroy this creature, possibly destroying his own soul as he was sucked back into the Imperium, shows a level of sacrifice that I do not think many would have taken themselves. So for that, I bow my head and say a prayer to the Emperor on his golden throne for Gavious Vintael in hopes that his spirit has found home at the Emperor's side. But I would turn to you, his teammates, whether you are friends or not, and give you an opportunity to speak of the man. So at this point, he looks across the room, and I would like each of you, as you're, have you say whatever words you'd like to say about Gavious, but tell us all who you're playing at the same time. And he looks first at Wigbert, who is badly damaged in the last fight. You, sir, Ministorum, assassin. Tell us your thoughts on your fallen comrade.
When you look towards Wigbert's direction, it's very blurry. You can't see his outline unless you really focus on it. Since I picked up a new camouflage cloak. V. Gavious. He's always been there, in the back. Don't really notice until it gets dicey. But he enacted the Emperor's will. Ensure the system was good enough for the servant's returns.
Well said, and I respect a man of few words and great action. And then he looks over at Sister Nora.
So Sister Nora is a sororitas. She is now a seraphim. So she's got dual wielding her inferno pistols, and she's got a jump pack and all of that. And she kind of notes the kind of last words there of the appreciation for those of few words, which she is relieved by as a woman of few words. So she sort of kind of kind of steps out a little bit and just sort of kind of looks over in that direction and very, very simply kind of just says, Gavious, Your duty has ended. You served well. We will continue. And steps back.
Thank you, sister. And then he scans over and he looks at Birk Talov. And you could see he's slightly uncomfortable. He's probably never dealt with a Fulbright priest before. And the eyeless visage, throws him a little, but he holds steady and he's like, and what would a Fulbright priest have to say of his fallen comrade?
Yeah, so brother Talov like steps forward, literally just mimicking whatever he just saw Sister Nura do, and he's got his robes on and his electus are glowing, and when I say looks, he just kind of stares straight ahead, and he says, "In life, Gavious Vintael was a model of spectacular inefficiency. In death, he remains so, if not more. Despite his capabilities, he failed to exhibit the necessary foresight to ensure his flesh husk was available for the reprocessing factorums. At the very least, his proteins could have been converted into nutrient paste to sustain the Skitari cohorts, or repurposed into flesh waves for dermal augmetics. I would erase his memory from my data vaults were it not for his value as a quintessential example of the perils of inefficiency in squandered energy. Let his existence and subsequent exploration serve as a perpetual lesson to all in the sacred pursuit of optimization and resourcefulness." And then he steps back.
Jackal rubs the side of his neck. He's like, I'm not going to lie. I somewhat expected something of that from our Mechanicum associate. I, for one, relish and revel in the inefficiencies of humanity, but I respect your opinion, sir. And then he very formally stops looking at you, and then he looks over at Sister Celeste with hope in his eyes. Sister, what would you have to say of your fallen comrade?
So Sister Celeste is our newly upgraded Sister Palantine. And she kind of she pulls out this like kind of formal book that she has, and she briefly goes through like a brief formal prayer, and then just states, Gavious gave the greatest sacrifice that you can to the Emperor, and that was his life and his very soul. The Emperor watches over the way of the just, and all are happy who are within the brace of the Emperor.
Well said, sister.
Short and sweet. She steps back in line with the rest of the group. Because I imagine we all just like took one single step forward and then back.
It's like a proper squad.
Yeah.
And you can see he nods with what you're saying, and he's like, thank you, sister. I appreciate all of your words and your perspectives on your fallen comrade. I know each of you saw him in a different way, but the work you have done has spoken for itself. I have gotten myself to speed on all of your missions, and they have been impressive. Some of them impressive catastrophes, almost. Others have been impressive successes, but at the end of the day, each mission you have gone on has furthered the purpose of our flotilla and the Imperium within the system. So for that, I thank you. But we have a much more pressing matter to discuss at this point. As you were coming up, I was in conversation with Angelica Vintael as the translator for Prosecutor Cillian. They have expressed their concerns that the only way their enclave could have been discovered is through a traitor within the flotilla itself. Now, I would prefer to think that this is untrue. I would prefer to think that they managed to intercept the Vox communications. However, I am not a fool, and I am afraid that they are absolutely correct. someone within this flotilla wants to see the ruinous powers rise within the Gilead system while it is cut off from the Emperor, and are taking actions to see that it happens, whether through smuggling illicit goods or for literally trying to bring chaos to life within the system. For that reason, there is going to be a change in the way that your squad operates going forward. But before I get to that, you and you alone, of all the troubleshooters that we have fielded, have run into traitor legionnaires on 2 separate occasions, and miraculously, you have lived through both of them. However, now, without your interrogator, I believe you are slightly ill-prepared to face such an encounter again. There's one who traveled with my flotilla, who has been acting as a personal liaison with my office. He will be joining your squad. He is above reproach. And at that point, those same doors that he walked through before slide open. And Justin, what do we see?
So you see a more than a man. You see a superhuman, almost demigod. I sit at about 7 foot, 7.5 feet tall, clad in green ceramide armor. I have also drapes of, like, I don't know what it's described as, like a tunic or cloak that kind of just goes over my body slightly. That's the color of bone white. I have a full helmet on with wings that come into the sky, or come into above my head, just kind of like these feathery, like, ornaments on top of my head, with a tapestry on my shoulder of a lion. I have red glass eyes, and I am an Astartes of the First Legion of the Dark Angels. And my name is Azrael Lazier.
So as the tactical space marine Azrael Lazier walks in, Jackal turns to all of you now. Your circumstances have changed significantly. You 5 are the only 5 within this entire flotilla, nay, within this entire system, that I know without a doubt are not working for the traitor. 4 of you have most recently been in a complete communication blackout at an Ordo Hereticus black site. During the entire time when we were communicating with the Enclave, you had no ability to communicate with anyone, or for anyone to communicate with you. So I know that you cannot be the leak. In addition, obviously, you helped the few Sisters of Silence remaining survive and escape the Enclave. Not the work of a group of traitors. And you, sir, are above reproach and have been at my side at all times. The Dark Angels will not be questioned of their duty and honor. So the 5 of you now report to me, and me alone. You will be the sword of Jackal Varonius. You will be moved into family quarters on the Ducal Coronet. You will be within the Varonius family suites. You will take no missions from Helene or anyone else. You will communicate with no other of your former superiors. You will provide them no information, and you will take no missions from them. You work solely for me. Now, at this point, if you feel that you cannot adhere to that, if you feel that you must report to the High Luminant, or Sister Superior, or the High Chaplain, or High Confessor, you may, at this point, tell me that you are no longer interested in carrying out these duties. I will have a member of the Astra Telepathica mind wipe you back to the moment that you began working for the task force, and you will be free to return to whatever duties you see fit. However, if you stay in this room past this moment, you are mine, wholly, and until such time as the Gilead system is opened back up to the light of the Emperor, or you die in my service. Make your decisions now.
Stand firm.
Excellent.
As does Nura.
Since none of you have moved, I am going to assume that you are mine, and that is the way it should be. I have already sent for your goods, whatever they may be, and they have been moved into suites within the ship here. Be ever vigilant. We do not know who the traitors are. We do not know how many there are, and we do not know how highly placed they are. The 5 of you will be working for me on missions as you have been working. He turns to Angelica Vintael and Prosecutor Cillian. Sisters, obviously, my intent was to bring your entire enclave onto the ducal coronet and to use your incredible null powers to literally push the warp storm back so that we could reconnect with the Emperor through this warp storm. But with just the 2 of you left that we're aware of, obviously that cannot happen. However, you are the Emperor's sword. I would ask for you to travel throughout the flotilla, find these traitors, and let us excise them together. And you see Prosecutor Cillian turns to Angelica Vintael, and they're using some sort of hand cant. You recognize Sister Nura and Sister Celeste. You recognize some aspects of it, but it's not your standard Sister of Battle hand cant. And then Angelica turns back and she goes, Lord Veronius, we will undertake this mission. We had already intended to undertake this mission, but we are happy that you are sanctioning it. We will find who betrayed us. We will root out their entire organization. And when we know who it is, we will bring that information to you as long as you guarantee that the traitors will be put to the Emperor's holy flame. Jackal turns. He's like, well, absolutely. I will not have traitors within my flotilla. The system is hanging on by a ragged edge, and we cannot afford to allow evil and corruption to take root within our heart. And at that, Prosecutor Cillian and Angelica Vintael turn on their heels, don't even say another word, and walk out of the conference room. Off, you assume, to do exactly what they made good on, their threat, to try to root out the traitor. Veronius turns back to all of you. This is not a prison sentence, but I will tell you this, for the time being, I would like you to all stay on the ducal coronet while we establish some protocols for this new paradigm we find ourselves in. The ship's stores are open to you. Just remember, even on my own ship, there are those that we may not be able to trust. But it is open to you in its entirety, and if you find yourselves needing to go to some other ship within the flotilla or for some other purpose, contact me. And he gives all of you direct ident and vox codes for his office and his conference room and his suite. He's like, you will be available to me at every moment of every day for the rest of your lives, and I will be available to you as well. When you need me, contact me. But until such time as I have a mission for you, you are free to go to explore the ship, do what you would do, prepare yourselves. Several of you obviously are walking wounded, and I suggest you go to the Medicaid facility for proper treatment and it looks like potentially some replacement and augmentation surgery. But I will leave you to it. And he calls for a steward, and this augmetic steward comes in, and he will escort you wherever you need to go. So as that scene closes, we have a few weeks of downtime, effectively, where you are healing, resting up. Wigbert Hahn. What does Wigbert Hahn do on the ducal coronet with his free time?
Yeah, after meeting his new member that joined our team, I'm just going to limp towards him. 1 inch face to face, Azriel Lazia. What do you bring that can fill the void left behind by Gavious?
Real quick. I'm 7 feet tall. How are we doing this face? Are you climbing up me?
I climb up the top of like a stool, a stepping ladder.
Just crawls up your chest like a cat.
I'm sorry. I was distracted by the face facing. What was the question again? I apologize.
What do you bring that fills the void Gavious left behind?
I bring the power of the line. I bring the faith and loyalty of the God Emperor himself. I bring savagery. I bring loyalty. And I bring courage. And I stuttered at the end. I'm sorry. I'm doing a voice. I'm trying.
It was good. I liked it.
Like it.
Very
wait to
adept
see
as
you
a
in
starting.
action.
I hope to God none of my students or football players ever see this. These guys. They're never going to stop making fun of me.
Well, I'm sure none of us will contact them and provide them a link to this. So never
No.
would do that.
No, we would not.
And then I'll find myself headed to a triage to get my foot replaced since it got severed.
Yep. So we see Wigbert Hahn after his conversation go into the Medicaid, and you'll be there for several days as they, basically not just your foot, they replace the lower half of that leg so that the connectivity up through the knee is better. So you're there for a while, rehabbing, and then you're there doing like physical therapy, getting used to the new way that you're moving. We find you in the gym, working on your balance, working on your skills to make sure that you're still up to speed. We fade away from Wigbert Hahn and what he's been doing, and we look to see where Sister Nura has been for the last couple of weeks.
So Sister Nura was one of the ones that needed a bit of augmetic. She's joined the augmetic club. So she had a traumatic injury to her left eye, and so she now has an augmetic left eye. And so after she sort of does, whatever downtime it takes for that to heal, she is going to seek out Sister Celeste. And she'll basically say to Sister Celeste, I know what I am here to do, but at times it seems that I might also need a bit of your healing touch, as it were. Might you spare some time to teach those skills to me?
And Celeste nods. I've had enough brushes with Harold that I find it important that you also know these skills. And then she herself got kind of pretty injured within the thing. And so part of her instruction is just her calmly talking you through the steps that you need to do to assist her with her own healing. So like she had like an augment rip off, but it also like messed up part of her natural skin. So how to fix that and re-heal it so that it doesn't pull terribly on the muscle later and stuff like that until she can get her augments fixed.
And this is probably not exactly the first time that we've kind of been doing a little bit of this, because there's been some other injuries before. It was not a good student. Like,
this is the first time though,
this...
I imagine, where you're flying solo. Like you're the only one healing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things getting thrown and all of that, because this is sort of like fine detail work that is not really what Nura likes to do. But basically I had some XP to spend, and so I went from a Medicaid 0 up to a Medicaid 3 so that I can actually help with some healing stuff. So and she is a woman of few words and has quite the ego, but in this situation, she's definitely looking to Sister Celeste for that, like, because like honestly she didn't care as much about some of the other practice that she had done. But like she's kind of working on you without any assistance, and so it's kind of like, Is that right? Is that acceptable?
It will do.
Oh yes. Next time I will improve next time.
As like Celeste is like gritting it because she's been mega pain, and she's like, it's good.
Thank you, sister.
I like it. So over a couple of weeks, we see moments where Sister Nora and Sister Celeste are working. We might even see Sister Nora in the Medicaid facility assisting some of the other doctors as she hones her skills over those couple of weeks and as she gets used to her new augmetic eye. But since we've been with Sister Celeste a little bit now, when you're not trying to teach Sister Nora or suffering through her ministrations, what is Sister Celeste doing?
Sister Celeste has actually kind of taken some time to do some physical training. She's working to increase her strength and her, to boost her natural athletics, because she has realized she's had kind of a learning curve, and she suddenly is mostly augmetics. And so she's just investing this time to familiarize herself with kind of like her new balances and everything. So I imagine if there's like a gym or some sort of equivalent, there's a lot of time where she's got her new sword and she's practicing how to use that. She's weightlifting. Maybe Azrael is there as well at one point, and like she sees him lifting and she's like, I can fucking lift more than that. And so she's adding more on and just kind of getting competitive with it. And then she also increased her fellowship by one point. So this is more of like a backdated thing in my head, because she's stepped forward with speaking and kind of taking over the role of like putting people that we come into contact with at ease, whether that's through prayer or what have you. And so that's how I kind of picture that have been increased over time.
I like it. So we've seen a moment of our new member, Azrael Lazir, in the gym with Sister Celeste. When he's not working out, what has he been doing?
So Azrael was recently separated from his Primarch Lionel Johnson. So I guess what he kind of just does is he secludes himself in his room and he prays to the God Emperor. My God Emperor, please, with your great grace, I ask of you, reunite me with my Primarch so I may be by his side and vanquish the Xenos foe from this world and protect you once again so you may rise and lead us to victory for the Imperium. I basically just spent a lot of my time just kind of like, getting used to the situation I'm in, being separated from essentially my clan and my legion, and trying to find a new home as to where I am and find ways to honor my my legion while I'm here.
I like it. So we slide out of Azrael's room and his thoughts of his battle brothers and his prayers to the Emperor, and then we find ourselves with Birk Talib. What have you been doing for the last 2 weeks?
Okay, so since Birk has been essentially sequestered, quarantined, what have you, assigned to the ducal coronet, and since the offer was that they were going to get our things, I think that what we basically see Talib doing is insisting on the recovery of a variety of things, like all these holy oils, these sanctified robes, these energy cells, these capacitor arrays. And he finds a section of the ship, or he insists on having a section of the ship, whether it's his quarters or some other place, where he effectively goes about kind of crafting his own kind of sanctified kind of energy purification chamber. And so, like, every day he's doing something like in the early days of our downtime, he's just organizing things. And then as the days go by, you start seeing him actually going through some of the rituals. You see him kind of with these holy oils, purifying himself, purifying the room. You hear him going through like the holy canticles of his full great order. You see him like donning robes that are different than what he normally wears, and they've got these electro wounds and everything that are sort of glowing in different ways. And he starts effectively channeling and pulling energy from various circuits and conduits on the ducal coronet. And not only is he trying to like purify himself and going through the process, considering everything they just witnessed and everything they were just exposed to on their most recent mission, in the back of his mind is this notion of like there is a traitor, there is like false communication. And so he's ensuring not only is he himself pure, but the energy, the very force that is flowing through the ship, if at all at any point it had been tainted in this time, because there is the presumption that there could be traitorous activity here, heretical activity, and so that's probably what he's doing. So every day, it's just him going through this very, I would say, intense process where you see him just kind of coating himself, pulling energy from various conduits, making sure that like each time he's doing this, he's examining it for any signs of taint, any signs of anything that might suggest this energy has been repurposed or been funneled through something for non-pure purposes. And he's also very alone in this time. He doesn't let anyone else. I mean, if there's an Adeptus Mechanicus, he will, but he won't let any of you into the sanctuary. Like this is his place. This is sanctified, and it won't be ruined by the likes of you. No offense.
Hastur Cravo is the only other Mechanicum that you run across in this part of the Ducal Coronet, and you're like in the area where your staterooms are. Go ahead, first roll of the night. Let's give me a tech roll, just difficulty 3.
Okay. And so, if Hastur's there with me, then I'll tap into him as well. All right. So it's a bonus there for that. Okay. Give it a rip. So that'll be, I got a complication. I did get 4 successes, but also a wrath complication.
Let's go ahead and roll that complication. We'll see how it factors in.
Machine spirit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Some tech in the scene malfunctions. So it could be something I own, something I'm interacting with, or something in the environment, stray servo, skull, cherub, etc.
So I think what happens is during this period, you've been pulling and sourcing energy from all around the ship, and you found no hint of corruption, no hint of any disruption to the energy flow within the ship, and you're so concerned by your lack of finding anything that you start pulling harder, and you actually burn out an energy conduit that's somewhere down near the navigation center, and you actually take a day to go down there and you repair it. But it does allow you the opportunity to get to know the ship a little bit better and to confirm that there, at least on the Ducal Coronet, does not seem to be any hint of tainted energy.
Okay. I think if that is the case, like he will, as much as Talav can relax, which I don't think is much, I think he will begin to, towards the latter portions of this time, he might start venturing away from the sanctuary and finding time with the rest of his team members at that point. But not until that point, until he's convinced, is he willing to spend time elsewhere.
So the last few days.
When that does happen, Nura will definitely like show you her left eye, because she got the odd medic eye, and so she just kind of walks by you and just sort of winks to just make sure that you know.
Okay. He he'll look back. He'll look back at you with his empty eye sockets. He will say, "The augmetic is an improvement, but you still have levels with which you might attain." And then you see his eye socket just kind of crunch a bit, and then he'll walk away.
And Nura is as pleased as Nura gets.
I like it. So you all settle in to the ducal coronet, into the staterooms that you've been assigned. It is within the Veronius family's section of the ship, and it's highly secure area. So you see Helene Veronius every once in a while, but she does not speak to you. Clearly, she's been briefed. Jackal Veronius you've had dinners with him a couple of times. Those of you who are willing to have dinners with him and interested, and they've been just casual affairs. Him basically feeling you out, getting to know you, and giving you some information about himself, his family, the flotilla. But towards about the end of the second week, you all receive a Vox message, and your presence is requested by Jacques Baronius in the same conference room where he initially briefed you. As you file
like
in,
to say, like, Nura comes in and she's been doing all of this sort of work, and so it's almost like sort of the doctor that's just sort of wiping blood off on her, like, as they're kind of coming in, and so that's kind of how she presents this. Like, she just like finished a shift, and she's got like the ligaments from someone's arm that sort of like got caught around like her cloak or something.
Sister Nora, I welcome you're the first to arrive. I must tell you, it does appear that you have body parts dangling from your robes there, but well.
Oh, I thought I got rid of all of them. I must have missed one. Thank you for allowing, and she kind of gets back to formal. Thank you for allowing me to improve my skills so that I can better serve the rest of my assigned party.
We should all endeavor to be the greatest that we can be in the Emperor's service, so by all means. As the rest of you file in, he says, please all circle around the briefing table here.
As you wish, my lord.
Room seals off again. Once again, you feel the absolute lack of connectivity to any machine spirits. Other than the one within the briefing table itself, and it is a completely isolated machine spirit. It has no way of communicating with anyone else. And in fact, you yourself are unable to really communicate. I mean, you could probably push through whatever firewalls there are, but you would have to make an effort to communicate with this machine spirit. My friends, listen. A mission has come up that I believe I would like you to undertake. It's been vexing me, and I've been listening to updates on it. I'm concerned there may be higher issues at play here that we have discussed in the past, so I would like you to investigate it. You see, I need you to go down to Evacris once again. In fact, back to the hive city of Balaxia, and investigate the cause of the Pactheritus Manufactorum lockdown and resolve the situation in the least destructive method possible while maintaining the security and safety of the Gilead system. As Brother Talov is obviously aware, but the rest of you may not know, Pacthetius is responsible for a significant percentage of the manufacturing of servitors for the Gilead system of all models, and is of therefore great importance to the system as a whole. Without those servitors, there will be insufficient workers to bring in the food, the algae, to undertake some of the more dangerous tasks. So it is very important that we understand what is going on here. In addition, I want you to determine if this lockdown and work stoppage are related, as I alluded to our ongoing investigations into potential traitorous activities aboard the flotilla, or if there are perhaps connections to the smuggling ring that we have been investigating. There's no evidence to support either one of these at the moment, but that is not to say that it is not occurring.
Talov would ask a question. Clarification.
Yes.
The Factorum has gone into lockdown, or there has been labor haltage?
Well, Brother Talon, both. Approximately 2 months ago, there was incidents at the Pacthertius Manufactorum. And as a result of that, a group of administratum officials were asked to go and see what the issue was with the reduction of servitor manufacturing. Shortly after that, the entire facility stopped producing servitors and then went into a self-shutdown. The entire facility was locked down. Now, a group of enforcers was sent in to determine the nature of the lockdown and get the facility reopened. They were not heard of again. About a week ago, a squad of Skitari with a rust stalker and a senior member of the Skitari were sent in to see what happened to the enforcers and to complete their mission. They too have gone silent. At this juncture, I do not know who to trust or what to trust, which is why I need my experts to go in there, find out what in the hell is going on, and set it to right. Now, the entire area has been placed under quarantine, and there's a joint task force down there of enforcers and administratum personnel who have local operational control. Now, there is a lead of the administratum, an investigator named, what was his name? Bellathor. He will be your primary point of contact. He is aware that I am sending a specialist strike team to infiltrate the facility, so he is expecting you. Now, as I've said in the past to you, I will reiterate, you are to trust no one other than yourselves and me. You will be given an Arvis lighter. Sister Nora, you will be the pilot. You will no longer be relying on any other personnel outside of your squad for transportation or resources. Anything you need will come through my office and my office alone. Not to say that your pilot was untrustworthy. He flew you to the Enclave and he flew you back, and based on what I've heard from the Inquisitors, he was innocent of any wrongdoing, and he has been returned to the fleet after having been mind-wiped. But going forward, we will rely solely upon ourselves. So the Arvis Lido will be waiting for you in the docking bay for you to make your way to Evacris. There will be a standard briefing of what you can expect from the Manufactorum en route so that you have a better understanding of the facility. Then meet there with Investigator Bellathor, question him at length, make your determinations on how to infiltrate the facility, and get that Manufactorum back into operation if that is possible. Under no circumstances, though, are you to allow anything that may negatively impact the system as a whole to continue at this facility, if such is the case. Now, please ask your questions of me.
Talov would continue to ask questions. Do we have access to a Manufactorum employee manifest? Do we have records pertaining to so basically, like, who works there? What are their augmentation levels? What is their security clearance? Do we have, like, he's just basically rattling off like all of these like the basic data that we might have about who works there, what are they working on, shift schedules, stuff like that, anything like that
Do
that
we
he
have
might be
a
able
map?
to peruse.
Yeah. Are we given clearance?
I will tell you this. The facility has been put on a lockdown, and the mechanical leader there has, as of this point, completely shut the facility down and wiped all information about the Manufactorum from the data sphere. We do know, prior to the lockdown, I mean, we know the basics. It is a large manufacturing facility. There are 3 main floors within the facility. On the 3rd floor, the top floor of the facility is the primary prison for biological resource management. Anyone who has been determined that they can best serve the Emperor and the Imperium as a servitor are held in cells there. Basic surgeries to wipe them of their minds, lobotomize them, and begin the essential organ removal so they can be transformed into servitors happen there on that 3rd floor. That is also where the repurposing facility is, and the administratum, where the administratum core, the personnel who manage the manufactorum, are. Then you also have there on the 3rd floor, you've got the vat biomass production, where they clone biological material for servitors as needed. Now, if you drop down to the 2nd floor, that's where you find your primary assembly lines for standard model servitors after the biological alterations have taken place on the 3rd floor. You also find down there on the 2nd floor is your primary augmentation fabrication facilities. And actually, that's where the workers, the flesh and blood workers of the Mechanicum, have their habs there on the 2nd floor. Then you drop down to the 1st floor, where you would have your primary entrance and exits to the facility. You've got quality assurance down there. You've got packing and shipping of servitors, and you've got the primary power plant. Now, I do know that there is a sub-facility, but all information on that has been redacted, and even other Mechanicus adepts that I have questioned about have not been able to find information about that on the data sphere. Apparently, it has been fully scrubbed. Originally, the original administratum investigator that was sent there was a fella by the name of Lothar Skult. He was one of the first team to go in to the manufactorum. He and his team have obviously, as I told you, we lost contact with them. He may have more information if he is still alive within the facility. Of that, we have no way of knowing. Now, the leader for the Mechanicum of the facility, based on records, was one Magos Ermitrude Pharaoh. But we have not had any combat with Magos Pharaoh in the last 2 months.
When was the last contact with Lothar?
When he went in, about a month ago.
Do you have any identifying features of the last team that went in?
Of the Skitari?
Of your last group that you lost contact with?
Well, we've lost contact with the enforcers, who, the local Gilead system enforcers. The administrative team that went in, we have lost contact with them, and we have lost contact with the Skitari squad that went in.
Do you have any description of the Skitari squad?
Of the Skitari, no, I do not. I can provide you basic information about the enforcers and the administratum team. When you're on site, there may be more information about the Skitari. As Brother Taliv can testify, the Adeptus Mechanicum, they like to play pretty close to the vest when it comes to their personnel, so they were not forthcoming in that information.
What of the administratum?
And he says, I'll download to your data slates basic biometric information and descriptions of those squads so that you will have them available to you.
Were there previously any known threats to this facility?
Not that we're aware of. Prior to 2 months ago, it was running at peak efficiency. And there were no issues. They were churning out servitors of all makes and models in accordance with their tithing requirements. Then 2 months ago, they began to slack off. They stopped meeting their tithing requirement. That's when the administratum folks went in, and it was shortly after that that everything got locked down. Now, I will tell you, we have attempted to make multiple frontal assaults at this facility, and combat servitors have massacred everyone who has attempted to gain entry to the primary entrances to the facility and to the docking bays. Now, my understanding is that Investigator Bellathor may have more information on site for you, but it is a dicey situation that we need to rectify.
So, clarifying question for me. What were we doing about 2 months ago?
About 2 months ago, you guys would have been dealing with the bidding. You would have been dealing 2 months ago would have been the end of when you were dealing with that dark auction.
Okay, cool. Got it. Interesting. Okay.
If you don't have any more questions, your Arvis lot is waiting for you in the docking bay. Remember, absolutely nothing about your true mission, true allegiance, or true purpose is to be shared with anyone. You are simply my strike team that is assisting in this matter. If you do find any information that would indicate that they're part of the traitorous threat that we are looking for, or part of the smuggling ring involved with this, you will not share that information with anyone on Avacris or anyone within the Administratum. That is for eyes only, and my only eyes you will share that with is me. If for some reason someone else down there is aware of the situation, you will either eliminate them if that is prudent, or you will bring them back with you. They will be interrogated, and any information they have about the traitors or the smuggling ring will then be wiped from their minds.
Understood.
Excellent.
And Sister Nora just sort of kind of looks around at everybody. I am the new pilot. And she just sort of like cracks her knuckles a little bit as I'm looking at my oh, we've got some decent pilot. Let's see how this goes.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So you guys, you go down to the docking bay. You know, you've been on the ship for a couple of weeks. You've got the lay of the land. And a fully fueled Arvis lighter. It's not the one you've been flying around in recently, but it's actually a slightly nicer, newer model. Clearly, this is one of the Veronius flotilla's ships. You pile on, you put in your ident. The Arvis lighter lifts off, makes its way out of the docking bay, and you begin your journey to Avacris. You do your slow fall into the atmosphere, couple of planetary rotations as you come down through and into Biloxia airspace, and you are cleared to land basically outside of the cordon that is around the Manufactorum.
Can we
And it's
notice
a-
that? Sorry,
Go
can we
ahead.
notice anything just from looking at it? If there's any type of structural damage, any type of
Sure. Give me an awareness check. Difficulty 4. All right. As you're looking around with professional eyes, you see around the perimeter of the Manufactorum obvious signs of scorch marks from las fire, and maybe even some plasma burns, and then pock marks from auto cannons, and perhaps even some missiles. You see some small craters. There's been a lot of small arms fire around the perimeter as well. So it looks like a war zone. It looks like there has been an ongoing skirmish at this site for several weeks, off and on.
Looks as if there's been a struggle here for some time. Let's get in formation, be ready for anything to happen.
What's our formation with you?
Behind me.
Something I'll have to get used to.
The Arvis lighter comes into landing, and you're near other vehicles. I mean, there's some heavy-duty armored vehicles here. You see an Administratum command post set up here, and as you land and the back of the Arvis lighter opens, you do see a man approaching you. He's older. He's got really wide, kind of wet eyes. He's constantly dabbing a cloth against his eyes. He's got several very crude-looking memory augmetics that are protruding from his bald skull. He walks up and he pauses for a second and he looks at all of you and goes like, yeah, I'm Matthias Bellathor. Commodore Jaco Veronius said you were coming. Do you have your proper idents?
We provide our identification, show them what we're here for.
Yeah.
We have yours first.
Yeah, of course. And he pulls out his administratum identification, and it is, it's bio-locked to him, and it says Administratum Senior Investigator Matthias Bellathor.
Can I scrutinize it at all?
Absolutely. Give me an awareness check.
Any difficulty on this?
Just standard difficulty 3.
Okay. Got a 3.
Yeah, you look at it. You look at his ID, and it looks completely legitimate. Even down to the hollow encryptions in it, everything looks right. And I mean, as a member of the Administratum yourself, I mean, you're fairly certain that his identification is legitimate.
After those checks, I'll give him mine then.
Okay. He goes, excellent. Yes, right. I was told to turn over any information you need and that you would be infiltrating the facility to ascertain what happened.
Yes, what can you tell us of the Administratum and your group you sent in and the Skitarii and what is happening at this location right now?
Well, I mean, I think you probably already know about a standard month ago, the entire place was locked down. No official servitors have left the facility since it was locked down. Every time we've attempted to come at the facility, armed servitors who have fortified all the main entrances have fought us back. I mean, I don't know how many servitors they've got in there. Could be thousands. I mean, they just keep throwing bodies at us. And when one servitor falls, a couple of other servitors would drag it back in, so they're probably just repurposing them. We lost too many men to try frontal assaults anymore, and that's when Commodore Vakul said he was going to send in specialists. I mean, we could dislodge them, but I mean, we'd have to do an arterial assault, artillery, probably maybe even a space strike. But I mean, that would take out the manufactorum, and that kind of defeats the purpose, right? So, well, like I think you were told, about a week ago, some local enforcers went in. Now, we didn't hear from them again, but we did find about a week ago a servitor was sneaking around outside of the perimeter, big, like the size of an ogre. He was trying to kidnap people off the street. We took him down, and we've got that servitor locked down. Then the Skitarii went in, right? You heard about it.
I beg your pardon. Right? You said that this ogre-sized servitor, you have it in custody, yes?
Oh, yeah. We've got it locked up in a big Connex box over here, right outside the perimeter. It's in a cold storage Connex box, so it's locked down hard. I mean, I could take you over there if you'd like.
Byrrc will look to Azrael, and he'll say, I would like to inspect it.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
Sure. Okay, let's walk over there, and I'll keep answering your questions as we go.
What can you tell me about where these local enforcement entered the facility?
Oh, yeah, I was going to get to that. The only way to try there's a roof access on the 3rd floor. That's where the enforcers breached. That's where the Skitarii breached. But the weird thing is like as soon as the Skitari went into the facility, we almost lost immediate contact. I mean, the Skitari Rangers Vox unit was continuing to broadcast for a few minutes, but I mean, it was unintelligible stream of like binary shrieking. I mean, my ears were almost bleeding, and it continued to broadcast through our Voxes for about 6 hours, and then it just cut off.
Do you have a recording of this?
Yeah, we do. I mean, not the full 6 hours, but we got a little bit of it.
Why do you not have the full 6 hours?
Well, we weren't really prepared or thinking about it. Most of that time we were trying to get through to the Ranger and find out what it was he was broadcasting. It was only towards the end where, well, you know, we figured that maybe there was something more to this. It was no Skitari code. I mean, we had a Mechanicum fella here with us, and he heard the shrieking, this binary shrieking, and then he crumbled on the ground, and fluid started coming out of his ears. So we didn't ask any other Mechanicum, and we recorded a little bit of it.
And would it have been a tech priest, a tech adept, Lex Mechanic? Like what would it have been that they?
He goes, oh, it was just like a low ranking tech adept. I mean, he was a pretty junior grade. They sent him over here to be a liaison.
So is it possible? Because Barrick's obviously under the impression that somehow the servitor, either through like flesh or through signal, are being corrupted or somehow, right? Mm-hmm. So if Byrrc is doing some calculations, does he think that such like that kind of signal, like the way it's described, like is that a signal that's potentially trying to either like shut down like augmentics or shut down like admech or like specifically the Skitari? Because was that signal only with the Skitari, or was that signal coming through with the previous?
They only heard you. The first and only time they heard it was after the Skitari went in.
Okay.
And yes, I mean, Byrrc, with your own ability to manipulate technology at a distance, you know that a binary code could be transmitted over airwaves, and it could influence other technological devices.
Mm-hmm. I shall have to determine some form of defense against the signal, or I will endanger the mission.
Would Talov be aware of Sicarian infiltrators? Because they like constantly put out a wavelength of neurostatic, inducing sensory overload.
He would know of them. Mm-hmm. He would know of that possibility, yes.
So Celeste, I don't know. Would Celeste know?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Then I can't suggest that then.
So yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, we're on a Forge world. Like Talov's definitely under the impression that there is some sort of signal or service or, you know, something's doing, you know, is infecting this tech. So he wants to go look at this this servitor and see if there's anything that he could potentially examine. And he probably would want to not so much listen to the sound, but rather examine like the digital packaging of the sound and see if he can like deconstruct it from a digital side.
Sure.
Something like that.
We'll go to the servitor first. So he takes you into this large Connex box, which is a freezer unit. Opens up the end, and you guys look in to this. You know, it's basically ice-covered walls, and at the far end is this enormous Ogren-sized servitor. And he's completely locked down. He's shackled. But the weird thing, he almost doesn't even have a head. But his back has been converted into a cage that could hold 3 to 5 human-sized beings. And he's sitting shackled on the ground.
Part of what I think Talov might be thinking is that they need more flesh to make more servitors. Is I'm assuming that's what this is for. When you say he's shackled, like, is he conscious? Like, do we see like any
I mean,
sort of register of our approach?
He is cognizant. Yes.
Okay.
You could do like a text test or Medicaid test to get some more information about him.
I think
communicating with him.
Yeah, I think he would definitely start as best he can and as carefully as he can, examining his various the various tech that has been kind of put into place, and then he will turn to Sister Celeste for any kind of flesh related like assessment of like the biology of this thing, and he'll just focus on the tech.
Okay, give me a difficulty 4 tech test.
I think one question that Nora would have asked as we were walking is like, have any demands or anything? Like, has there been any communication out of like, there's a shutdown and all, like, is there anything communicated out at all?
Sister, other than that weird binary chatter that came across the Vox when the Skitaris went in, there's been no communication whatsoever. Even the servitors that come out to repel the assaults are completely silent. We've not even been able to get this brute to communicate with us in any way.
Understood.
With your 6 successes,
6, yeah,
you note that its arms have been replaced with basically these sort of static systems that are used to produce an electrostatic shock in a human to knock them out. The cage, you can tell, was not part of the original design for this servitor. This is an aftermarket, so to speak, addition, and they've reinforced his spine and his back and back plates and grafted this onto his back. You also do find verification that all of his augmentations were manufactured at the Pacthertius Manufactorum. So he is definitely from the Manufactorium.
Do I see anything? So that shift, I guess what I would be looking for as well, is there any sign amongst any of his augmetics, any signs of like, similar to how I was doing like that purification of energy and the transference of energy, am I seeing any kind, as it's funneling various energies to its different limbs or to its sort of central system, like am I seeing any kind of that taint I would have been looking for up on the ducal?
Not so much a taint, but when you're examining the cogitator that's replaced most of his higher functioning, you see actual evidence in the chips where they've been damaged by the binary code that's passing through it. Almost as if the cogitator is burned out in certain sections just from the binary chatter that is its operating system. And based on that, with your shift, it does not appear that the cogitator for this servitor was originally designed to use this particular form of binary as its operating language. So it's been overwritten and it's burned out part of its cogitator.
Okay. Beric will convey that in probably overly specific and academic language to make sure that it is abundantly clear to everybody exactly what he just discovered. And then he will like kind of turn to Sister Celeste to see if she wanted to continue a different examination. But he'll stay next to her just to be careful, just to like at the ready in case this thing misbehaves.
Sister Celeste, if you want to give me a difficulty 3 Medicaid check.
You got it.
I'll also train my bolt gun at its head, just in case.
And after all of...
They're not dying, so I don't get on my fun dice.
Yeah. So you look at this servitor's flesh, and one, you can tell that it was not an original Ogren. This is not an Ogren's corpse or body that's been repurposed. This is vat-grown flesh. But the more interesting thing is that this vat-grown flesh is less than 8 days old. In other words, this servitor left the Manufactorum after it was locked down. So it's not been a rogue servitor that's been out here for a long time. It was more than likely sent out of the manufactorum on a specific purpose.
And I think, like, as Celeste is kind of like mumbling her findings, kind of directing them at Talav, I'd like to think that they come to the same conclusion, that it was sent out to collect flesh.
Mm-hmm. I think Talav would theorize out loud, like he would kind of ask questions, essentially saying, like, while the manufactorum is shut down, like,
Production continues, but for a different purpose. And if it's that production is an insufficient supply for the flesh needed to create additional servitors, it is sending out these servitors for reclamation to get additional supply.
He's kind of half stating, half asking, you know.
And Celeste turns to you. Do the orders for binary code, does it have signatures of the creators? Does this have a new signature?
I mean, it's code, so I would think code would. Is that right? I probably shouldn't. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it would. You would definitely be able to tell the originator of whoever modified the code, or you would at least recognize the signature within the code itself.
Okay.
So you'd be able to separate out code from this one source versus code from other sources.
Okay, but are you asking about this, like the signal that has been sending out, like the Vox signal that's been melting?
The Ogram, because you said, like, his things got burnt out because of this new code wasn't what it was originally intended. So I'm wondering who forced this new code into this.
Is it consistent with whatever we might have gotten in terms of, like, our data packet about, like, the Factorum production prior to this 2-month strangeness?
This is something completely unheard of at this point.
Okay.
The Manufactorum prior to the lockdown was operating standard Imperial models using standard binary code.
This is aberrant.
Great.
And with their kind of conversation happening, Nura would kind of turn to Bellathor. Who would have that level of expertise and offense to create such a thing?
Well, I mean, yeah, a little outside of my lane here, but I would say that, I mean, any senior Magos, I mean, from what I understand, they all have their own binary codes. They have their own subsects of binary that they use to communicate amongst themselves and smaller groups of people. Just like we all have shorthand with our own languages. So I would say that probably any senior Magos would be capable of doing this. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I mean, I think based on, my limited interactions with some of the Magos that I deal with in the Administratum, I know they all have their own code, so to speak, way of communicating amongst their people, so others don't understand it.
Do you have
any of them shown any particular inclination toward creativity outside of the orders provided?
None that I know. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know any of the guys that were any of the Magos that are responsible for this facility at all. I mean, the only person who would have probably the full information was the guy I replaced, Lothar Skult. I mean, he went in with the full packet. I mean, I know that Magos Pharaoh was in there. I mean, was responsible. I know that there's another Magos, Magos Bast. But I mean, beyond that, I don't really know the complement. That's part of the problem. As soon as they went into lockdown, the entire data sphere surrounding this facility and all their personnel and information was completely wiped. We've got no personnel access All I've got is the basic notes that Lothar left with some of his flunkies before he disappeared in that hellhole, and I got called out to take over.
You have confirmed what we already knew.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. You know now pretty much everything that I know. So
And she does her sort of typical impatient, like kind of looking at everyone. Well, this one is useless. What shall we do next?
Show me the code. The recording, basically. He wants to examine the code.
You want me to turn it on, or you just want to look at the code?
I would like to look at it.
Okay.
If you turn it on, I cannot guarantee your safety.
That's what I was afraid of. I mean, from what you guys were saying earlier. But hey, here it is, and he pulls up his cogitator, and you're able to look at the packets of code. Give me a difficulty 5 tech test, and then you can ask your questions based on how successful you are.
All right, Haster is definitely helping on this. We don't want to liquefy. That's not something we want. So we're gonna do this. Okay. That's 3 successes. I will go ahead and I will wrath it up. All right, so let me.
You got this.
Yeah.
All right, reroll failed. There we go. All right, that is 5 successes.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Okay, so how much can I ask?
Just ask what you want to ask, and I'll tell you when you have to stop. It depends on the
Okay.
questions you ask.
So I want to confirm the suspicion that there is something malignant within the code that is in fact kind of burning out cogitators or in affecting AdMech in some particular way.
Based on your looking at it, it's not so much that it's malignant, but it is so densely packed with information. It is like, looking at a calculator and then looking at a neural network.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not so much like, so it's like it's just like extra. There's someone's like packet bombing them is basically what they're doing. Okay, all right. So then the other 2 things he would be interested in is if there is a way to ignore himself against it, like so that if it's used against him, he can protect himself against it. Like, is there a way to ignore that signal? Is there a way to
Counter the signal somehow?
With 5 successes at this point, and that may change in the future, but at this point, you think the only way, you think that if your own abilities are advanced enough, you may be able to just shunt the signal out and off. In other words, just armor against it. But that's no guarantee. You think the only actual way to guarantee that you would not be impacted by this particular binary code would be to remove all augmentation from your body.
It'd
be very difficult for several of you.
Well, I wouldn't exist.
For a fact that would work. Without any way, the binary code would not be able to influence you if you had no augmentations. Now, also, if you've got power armor, you also know that it could potentially affect the cogitators within someone's power armor, the neural sockets within their power armor. So, obviously, Azrael Azir and Sister Nora and Sister Palantine all are wearing power armor, so you know that that's a potential risk for them as well.
Okay.
As Talib was kind of talking out loud, Nora had kind of popped her eye out because she's like, that would be fine. And then when he starts saying, it would also affect power armor and all that, she sort of pops her eye back in and just kind of like...
You do know, and I will tell you this based on the information you have, that it would be much more difficult to affect like power armor because it doesn't really respond to binary signals. It would have to really burrow deep into the neuroconnectors in the armor. However, augmentations themselves would definitely be at risk.
I guess the last thing, if I can ask this one, is that if I don't think it's malignant, if I don't think its intentions are to necessarily harm. It's just harming as a byproduct of what it's doing. Is there a way to unpack some of those data packets and figure out what kind of information it's actually sending out?
You don't think you've got the resources to do that here. This cogitator definitely couldn't do it, and if you exposed yourself to it, you might have the ability to figure it out yourself, but it also may burn your brain out. So it's a risk situation.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, he, like Sister was saying, he's saying everything out loud as he's going through things.
So is the servitor, is it useless now? Can we rewrite it? Take us inside.
I mean, we've got it locked down and we've got it on low power. I mean, we basically drained off all the power we could to it. We've just left it just enough juice to live. I would not recommend powering this thing back up fully. But if you wanted to, you could, but it would take a couple of days to get it up to full power.
Could Jeff locate the signal, like where it's originating from?
Probably not from here. It's too far a distance, and the entire facility is built to basically shield itself from external influence, because the Mechanicum doesn't want anybody else being able to manipulate their code, so their facilities are heavily shielded. From inside the facility, that's a possibility.
So, how do you suppose we get ourselves to this new entrance?
Well, I mean, I would recommend just taking your office light. I mean, there's a landing pad up there. That's the purpose for that third floor entrance. You should be able to just land.
Will there be resistance?
I don't know. When the Skitarii went in, they dropped out of their ship, and they were able to go in. I think they had to blast the primary doors, but they went in. And before that, the Enforcers, they were dropped off and they just went in. But, that was all before things got quite so hostile. So I don't honestly know. We have not tried to make any landings up there since then.
Can you think of any other possible entrances that might be to this facility, other than maybe a possible hot drop?
I mean, based on the plans that we've seen, no. I mean, a frontal assault, or that third floor access is the only known access points to the facility.
Wigbert, though I do see the validity of your plan of going into the back of an Ogren, seems that we'll be dropping in on this one.
That's fine. We don't have the time for waiting for this organ to wake up.
So are we okay with this plan of getting into the plane and hot dropping in?
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I got parachute pants on. Let's do it.
Well, you probably have to land, or Sister Nura is going to have to go back by herself. She's got to fly it.
Well,
That's a good point.
she
Could
could.
I
if she has.
fly?
That's what I was saying. She could.
Yeah,
She
like could
land
I
us.
drop them off, land, and then fly back?
Absolutely.
She does have a jetpack.
Yeah, absolutely. You totally could do that. Yes.
I mean, why have a jetpack if you're not going to fly places?
That sounds like a wonderful plan. Let's load up and head out.
Okay. And the investigator's like, good luck. And he gives you the Vox codes. He goes, if you get in and you're able to communicate back, I mean, if you need reinforcements or whatever, we're here.
I don't have a ton of skills in this, and I may not even be able to pass, but I don't know that anybody's done like a insight or anything on this dude, and we're supposed to be checking for everybody to make sure that they're not possibly a traitor.
Go for it.
I don't
Difficulty 3.
I have to yeah.
He seems fine. He seems pretty above board. He seems like your standard administrative cog in the wheel. He's a mid-level manager, and he does seem stressed out. He seems like he is in over his head here, and he's just looking for somebody to fix this problem for him because he does not have a solution. That's what you get off of him. That's pretty much what all of you get off of him. He doesn't seem smart enough to be nefarious.
Okay. We're just doing our job.
No, it's good. It's a good call. Good call.
Once we do load back up into the ship, Celeste will take a moment to send through her Vox straight to Jackal, just a quick timestamp, landing on 3rd floor, about to breach, just to like keep him up. You know.
And you get a double click back, which is shorthand for acknowledged.
Yeah.
So the Arbus Lighter takes up. You guys are coming up. You go up above the clouds, and then as you begin to drop down through that thick layer of perpetual smog, you see the rooftop landing area of the Pacthoterius Manufactorum.
Before we land, do I see anything, like any potential danger?
Well, you guys you're about 200 meters up. So at the moment, you just basically, there's a torrential downpour. You can see the lights from the corner areas and the illuminated circular landing pad. But at this distance, you can't really see too much. But as you get closer, you do spot motion on the landing pad. Brace for impact as rockets and plasma cannons are fired at the Arbus Lighter. Sister Nura, give me a difficulty 7 piloting check.
Good Lord. 7.
10.
That's a 10. What was
With
I
a
worried
wrath
about? With the
critical.
wrath critical.
You are awesome. The Arbus Lighter is hit multiple times, but you're able to keep control of it. You drop from 200 meters to 100 meters. The fire continues. And then you see out on the landing pad, you see combat servitors have poured out of this door, and they've got these multi-cannon, multi-barrel laser cannons. Basically look like a laser Gatling gun. And they open up as well. Give me another difficulty 7 piloting check.
Okay.
But you're holding it together. You didn't get creamed at 200 meters, so you're doing fantastic.
Okay.
Do you want to wrap that?
Do we have glory? Can I do both?
You just got one from your crit, so
Okay.
you just got a glory.
And yeah, and so that doesn't. So I'll roll an extra d6 after I do this because I called it.
Correct. You're
I don't
fine.
actually need it. Okay. All right. 7 successes.
So the Arbus Lighter is literally coming apart around you, but you're actually able, with your incredible piloting skills, to land it before it completely disintegrates. And none of you are falling from 100 meters, which makes me sad on the inside, but very proud of you, Sister Nura. I was looking for some serious fall damage there. But you guys land. It's a hard impact. And basically, it's almost like the Arbus Lighter almost disintegrates around you. I mean, it is on fire. It is snapping apart as you flood out the back of this Arbus Lighter. Because you guys are taking a little aback, I'm just going to point a rune to seize the initiative. And you see these combat servitors. There are 12 of them. And they stand about 8 feet tall, and they're heavily augmented. And you see no intelligence in their faces. They look like these giant walking corpses. And across their shoulder blades and coming over, they've got these multi-cannons, these advanced hotshot quad laser systems. And they are just staggering towards you. And then as soon as that thing lands, they all stop in unison. And as you come out, they aim and fire. So a mob of combat servitors is opening up on you. They're going to take a multi-attack. So they can attack every one of you. So that would be a -10. But because they're a mob.
I would make an argument that we are in our formation. And so we are all behind Azrael.
To answer the argument. But I'm going to say that as you stagger out, it's not quite as effective as that formation as you would like it to be. However, when I do you check your defenses, you all get +1 to your defense because you've got partial cover from the wreckage of the Arvis lighter around you. But these 12 combat servitors open up on you. They have stopped and they have aimed. So they, and it's short distance. So they are only at +2 instead of +10 on this attack with this advanced hot shot. So we're going to go right down the order. We're going to go Wigbert Hahn first. So Wigbert, what is your defense?
It'll be 5 with the +1.
All right. And it's +2, so 7 in total against you. 11 successes. They hit. But they got a complication. So we'll do the damage first. 2 possible shifts. We're just going to shift those for extra damage. What is your resilience?
7.
7. It's AP4. So that takes it down to 3. You take 13 wounds.
All right, I'll roll determination here, see if I can shake some of it off.
Excellent.
Ooh, I got 4.
Okay, so you take 9 wounds and 4 shock. As this laser, this hotshot laser just rakes through you. However, it got a complication. What I'm going to say is one of the combat servitors was offline and blew apart one of the other servitors. So they're already down to 11 as this mob of servitors is firing. Next up is Sister Nura. Sister Nura, what is your defense?
3.
3 plus 3, 2 for cover.
Sorry, 4. Sorry,
4?
it's 4. No, sorry.
Okay, nope, that's fine. Okay, plus 3, 1 for cover, and 2 for the additional difficulty of this mob firing at you. Okay, Wrath critical. They hit. 3 shifts. What is your resilience?
10.
10. Oh, good. You're good. Well, -4, so it's down to 6. Do you want to roll determination?
Yeah.
Okay. You're at 6 damage at the moment. Okay, 2, so it takes you down to 4 wounds and 2 shock.
Okay.
Well, let's roll that Wrath critical and see what happens first. Overpowering assault, stunning blow sends you lurching away. You suffer a D6 shock and you're staggered. So you suffer 2 shock and you're staggered as this blast hits you. Birk, what is your defense?
Without any of the bonuses you're talking about, my defense is 3.
Okay. So we go up to 6. Now, I should have reminded everybody, you can take the total defense, which improves your defense, but you lose your action in this round. So that's an option if you want to consider it.
But you spent ruin to go first, so we haven't actually had an action yet.
Doesn't matter. You can take an action outside when you take total defense. It just counts against your next action. It's basically like interrupts.
Yeah.
So if you want to, but you don't have to.
Nah.
Okay. God, man, I'm rolling rocks. Okay. Hits. What is your resilience?
7.
7 down to 3. So do you want to roll determination?
Sure. So how many wounds are left?
You're at 14 at the moment.
All right. Right, I'm at 14.
You're at 14.
Okay.
Because it's AP. They got an armor
Oh, it's the
penetration
AP.
value
I
of
didn't
4.
know it's AP.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, there we go. That's 7 goes to
Wow.
shock.
7 shock, 7 wounds.
Okay. All right.
All right, Sister Celeste. What is your defense?
My base defense is 3.
Okay. Bonus is 3. Complication, 7 successes, so that hits. What is your resilience?
10.
10. Okay, so it takes it down to 6. So it would be 6 wounds. Do you want to roll determination?
No. I want to reflexive. So when do I need to call out the Emperor Protects?
Is it a reflexive action?
Yes. So
You can
as
do
a
it-
reflexive, I can spend 2 faith to force an attack directed at me to miss.
Yep, you can do that right now.
I will do that.
Okay, so you spend the 2 faith, and you guys all see in that moment as these lasers open up on you, you see Sister Celeste start to glow with this blue radiance, and it almost appears like great wings fold out from around her back and circle around her, and the laser beams go wide, and she is unhit as the Emperor has protected his Palatine, leaving us with Azrael Azir.
All right.
What is your defense?
4.
Oh, and that Wrath Complication killed another one of them. So now they're down to 10. So they've shot themselves to pieces
Okay.
as well.
Cool.
Hit. No shifts possible. What is your resilience?
I have resilience of 11.
Okay, so that takes it down to 7. So you're at 7 wounds. Do you want to roll determination?
Make sure. Ba-ba-ba. Yeah. So I'll roll determination.
All right. 7, 3. Okay, so you take 4 wounds and 3 shock.
All right. So
And it's your turn. Or your guys' turn. All of you get to go again before they go.
is it possible to do a charge and multi-action or multi-attack?
Yeah.
I'm gonna charge and start multi-attacking with my combat knife. And just
Okay.
start
How many attacks do you want to? How many of these remaining 10 do you want to attack?
So I was talking. I've never done this before because I haven't had a chance to do this before. I was talking to Jeff about it. So essentially, like, I roll, and each time I roll, it gets 2 times more complicated. Right? Is that how it works?
No, it's so like however many attacks you're going to take. That's the total additional per attack. So if you want to attack 4 people, that's +8 to all.
So
+8 defense to all of your attacks.
so when I'm rolling, so let's say like I'm going to use my combat knife.
Mm-hmm.
How do I actually use a combat? I'm so long since I've actually used an actual weapon.
Oh, you should just be able to go to gear, make sure it's equipped, and then go to the
Okay.
combat tab, and then you just hit.
That's what it was. It wasn't equipped.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
I'm
how
gonna-
many of them are you going to attack?
I'm gonna hit 3 of them. So +2 +2, so it'll be 8.
Plus 6.
+6.
So plus.
To all
Oh,
of
sorry.
them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, to all
then
of
I'll
them.
hit.
It'll be +6 against. So you just roll once, and if you hit, then you roll damage. I mean, you roll your attack every time, and you just roll your damage once. But the way Foundry does it, we'll just kind of do it every attack separate. So
then I'll hit 2 then because I only have a dice pool of 9. Right.
okay, so it'll be +4. which makes when you pull it up, their defense then is 7.
Okay. All right. So 7. Now let's see if I can start hacking and slashing. That was the worst roll ever. All right.
Okay. You do have wrath, so you could re-roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna re-roll with my wrath. And not much better.
Okay, so you go in to slice at this one, but even though they're not moving, the rain is pounding hard, the lasers are still firing, and you're trying to weave through these lasers, and you hit him, but you just don't connect anywhere on the servitor that's doing damage to him. So you get to roll again 2 more times to attack 2 different servitors.
All right. So again, it's 8. Roll. Let's get them all out now, huh?
Woo!
I'll spend my other wrath.
Okay. And then you'll roll your complication.
Oh gosh.
I just look like an idiot out there, just slashing at nothing.
This is your first impression.
We're watching you very carefully.
So as you're coming in, you actually move your visor through one of the laser beams, and it's a glancing blow, but it blinds you. It temporarily flash blinds your enhanced vision. So and it won't count against this attack.
Okay.
But next turn, all of your difficulties be increased by 4.
So that was that my last? That was my last one, right? It's just because there's 2 of them. So I should not be able to swing anymore, right?
So one more.
Oh,
We're going to
one
attack 3 of them. Yeah.
For the love of God! All right.
Yeah. So you guys see him, Azrael, just flows in there. He's dancing around laser beams. He connects with 2 servitors, but he may just not be that familiar with servitors, so he doesn't know exactly where to hit them.
Yeah,
and
guys, I don't know him.
You see him you see a laser beam glare off of his helmet, and he shakes his head. He's disoriented. Who would like to go next?
Bjerk wants to turn to like the rest of the team, and if he had eyes, he would be rolling them right now. But instead, he says to Sister, Sister, do you still have your action, or did you use your action already?
No, that's not an action. That's a reaction.
That's
So
just a reaction.
Okay, so Bjerk, shall we show him how it is done?
Yeah.
And he will he'll hold out his staff in his arm and wait for her to juice him up.
Cast the passion. Yep, and she'll do just that.
And then that's yours, and then so that's your turn, and then my turn. My Electus will light up in the rain as the rain's coming down, and I will also charge in. Except I'm only going to attack 1 because I'm not going to be greedy, and I also want to make sure we start taking some out. So I'm just going to charge in, attack 1. What's the bonus? Is it +2?
+2.
What?
Oh yeah, for Sister Celeste.
Yeah, it's plus
That's
two rank bonus.
Okay,
plus
and I
two.
get-
It's double rank bonus dice. So
Yep,
two.
so it's +2 at the moment.
Okay, and then I get +1 from charge, so it's a total of +3. Okay, so
So their standard defense is 3.
all right, sounds good. All right, so I have a total of +3. Let's split it up. Okay, so I think it's going to end up being that. Okay, there we go. All right, so I come charging in this bolt of Electu, and I just run right past you, Azrael, as you're missing these 3, and I just leap, and I just bring this staff down on one. So 8 successes with 2 possible shifts, which I will naturally just go ahead and shift towards damage.
Fantastic.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. I'm trying to remember. Okay. So +2, so 18 points of damage, AP4.
P4. Describe what it looks like when you kill this servitor.
So he runs through the fire that's being put out, like the fire and the disintegration of our own ship. The rain's coming down. This big space marine runs up and starts swinging and missing, and then just like a literal lightning bolt shoots out from after Sister Celeste touches him. And by the time Azrael's done with his last swing, Beric has taken his staff and just cleaved it down through one of them and just holds his hand out like this, one of these gloves hand, and he just sort of pulls a bit of the essence. How many wounds? How many wounds would I have done technically?
Oh, I mean, he only had 4 wounds, so you.
Okay. So I would. That's how much I can absorb.
Yep.
From, and I can reduce my shock. So I basically get 4 shock back.
Yep.
Okay. And that's my turn.
And Sister Celeste, you still have a move action if you want to move or do anything else. Well, I mean, any movement action.
Yeah, like movement action is in like moving back to maybe take more cover.
Okay, so you move back into cover. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Sister Nura, Wigbert, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. As stated earlier, I'm following behind Azrael's back. I'm in the shadow, so I'm going to attack the same ones he strike.
Okay. Are you just attacking one or
multi-attack?
Multi-attack. The same 3.
Yeah, the same 3.
Okay, so they're that's +6. So their defense is what did I say? 7. I think I said it wrong last time, but I think I made it 7 for you, so I'll keep it 7.
Show him how it's done, Wigbert.
All right. So my power blades, 8
Okay.
success in the first one,
So go ahead and roll damage.
11 with the -2 AP.
Describe how you kill that one right as you slide up behind Azrael.
Yeah, I'm following at Azrael's trail. He's clinking off these servitors, but I'm right behind him, just slicing through, finishing him off.
I like it. So second attack. You want to spend a
Let's see.
wrath point to
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I did get a complication.
yeah, we'll roll the complication here in a second, unless
5. This one does not hit.
okay, go ahead and roll your complication. Let's see what happens to Wigbert here.
Out of ammo.
That doesn't make sense. The power field on this power blade goes out. So you'll have to reset it next round, but I'll let you get your final attack off. So next round, your movement action will be to reset your power setting on your power sword.
Okay.
But go ahead with your last attack.
Last attack hits with an 8.
All right, roll some damage.
10 damage -2 AP.
Okay. So as you slide behind Azrael, as he's pulling up these servitors, you manage to cut through 2 of them and take them out. And now this mob of combat servitors is down to 6.
So could we just get a quick count of how many servitors the demigod killed and how many us mere mortals killed? What's the
Cruel.
difference?
It's cruel.
Other thing that I'm sitting there like blind, like, have you had enough? Have you felt my wrath yet, robot god?
All right, Sister Nora, I think you're up.
Okay. See, I already took some wounds and some shock, so I'm not quite sure if I want to also do a multi-attack and take additional penalties on top of the penalties that I've already got.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe I won't do that, and I'll just let me see if I can remember how to do dead shot again. So if I don't move and I instead aim, then I get +1 bonus dice.
You get +2 technically because you're at short range as well. So you get +1 for being at short range, +1 for aiming.
Okay. And then depending on how tight of a window I'm trying to aim at, which it's anywhere from 1 to 3 for that. I'm not sure how much I need to aim with these things necessarily.
They're pretty large, so I would say 2.
Or call shot, sorry.
Yeah, call shot. Yep.
So 2 then would add +2 to the DN, and then I would also get +2 for
Extra dice.
damage.
Yep.
Yeah, extra dice for damage. All right, so. All right, so what did I just say? So bonus dice. So my dice pool goes up by 2. And then the DN also goes up by 2. And the is also 2. All right, let's do that.
7 successes.
That is exactly what I needed. So I will now roll damage. So damage 19 AP 4.
Describe your kill.
And so she's sort of watching everyone else sort of with their success, and she doesn't move, but just, leans just a little bit, just looking around to see if anyone notices. And she just, one of her Inferno pistols, and just takes an extra second, looks for, kind of the weakness in one of these, and just fires away her Inferno pistol.
And the servitor you hit, head literally melts. I mean, the augmentations in it turn to liquid metal, and that heats his body so much up that the liquid metal just kind of courses down through what was his neck, and his insides of his body boil, and then the augmetics inside just kind of explode outward as viscera crumbles around his feet. And then there were 4. And those 4 open their mouths, and you hear this horrible screeching binary chatter. It's a whisper level. But Talib, you feel a little unsettled by it, even at this whisper. And they all drop live crack grenades at their feet. So all of those of you who are in melee with them, Talib, Wigbert, and Azrael Lazir, I need you guys to all make an initiative check for me as you try to dive out of the way of these grenades going off. Okay, 1, so that adds 1 to your defense.
Got 5.
Wigbert, that adds 5 to your defense. So when I ask for your defense, it's +5.
Did you put a difficulty on this? I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, it's just a flat initiative check.
Okay. All
Just
right.
your total number of successes adds to your defense.
I will wrath it, as I only got 1. So let me mark those up. Let's see if I can do any better. All right, 2 successes with a shift. So
3 successes.
I'll give us.
3 successes.
I'm sorry, 3 successes. Excuse me, with a shift. I'll put the shift. Can the shift help me in any way?
Yeah, we'll put the shift up to 4, so you get +4 to your defense.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
All right, we will start with Wigbert Hahn. What's your base defense?
4. Oh,
4,
with +5, it'll give me
and
9.
you get +5. Okay, and so your total defense was 4 + 5 is 9. So actually, the grenade goes off. You dodge out of the way, but you're not able to get far enough away. What is your resilience?
7.
7. AP 2, so that takes it down to 5. So you take 9 wounds, but you can roll determination at this point.
Okay, I am probably going to be dying here. So,
Oh god, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it all goes to shock.
how
How are you looking on your
exactly is
shock?
that?
7 shock. You take no wounds, 7
Okay.
shock.
Actually, maxes out my shock.
Okay, so you're exhausted at the moment, but you didn't take any damage from it. And what is your defense, Azrael? 4?
Is 4, so this will be 5 then.
5. Also hits. 14. What's your resilience?
11.
11 minus 2, 9. So you take 5 wounds. You can roll determination.
Do that.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. So you take 3 shock and 2 wounds.
I am also at max shock.
Okay, so you are also exhausted. And then Talav.
Defense will be a total of 7. However, one question. Total defense, can that apply here?
This is basically total defense. You automatically get it when you're trying to dodge out of an explosion.
Okay.
I just assumed you guys weren't going to take it and just dodge out.
Okay.
Because they all kill them. I mean, this is going to kill
This is
all of
this is
them.
basically self-destruct. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of successes. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. That's a lot. That's a big hit.
What's your resilience?
7.
7. You wanna
Okay,
roll
so
determination?
sure. So it's 7 left, right? Am I doing my math right? 7 wounds
9 left because it's 8.
9 left. Oh, AB2. Okay, got it. All right. Here we go. That'll be. All right. So I took 6 wounds and 3 shock.
3 shock.
So I will be. That puts me over my wound threshold. So I will be into the dying fun stuff.
Okay. So you guys see Birk get everybody gets hit by the blast, but you see Birk fall to the ground. The servitors are dead. The rain is pounding down. The door is sealed. That's where we're going to stop for tonight. We're going to see. It's been a hard start. Been a hard start for the crew, but hey, I'm still surprised you guys managed to land the Arvis Lighter. So we will pick up in 2 weeks. I will remind all the players, you guys can take a short respite while you're up here, and people with Medicaid skills can try to help some people out. But in 2 weeks, we will infiltrate the Manufactorum with our slightly beaten, possibly exhausted, and potentially dying crew in an attempt to get to the bottom of what the hell is going on here. That's all I've got. Jeff?
All right. Fantastic. Also, I just want to make a point. Like, why did we ever have pilots? If you can roll that well, Sister Nero, like you should have been piloting the whole time.
So I only
What the hell
got
was it?
pilot when I switched
Became
to
a
a
Seraphim.
Seraphim, and I got the
okay.
the
makes
jetpack
sense.
thingy. So I didn't have pilot before, but that is a new addition to Sister Nera's skill set.
Gotcha. All right.
For
Before
anybody
I
out there
plugs,
watching, anybody out there watching these servitors, I mean, they're not normally that badass, but I was rolling rocks tonight.
Yeah.
I was crushing it. So,
yes.
did not
You're
actually
critical.
did not expect it to go this rough on the team at the beginning. But hey, that's what makes it fun.
We're gonna live forever. We have a demigod on our side. He's just warming up. I'm never letting you live that down. I am never gonna let you live that down.
Nice and warm.
Quick belated thank you to AMPZND. Thank you so much for the raid. Really do appreciate it. And you're right, Mark, the Cthulhu Kid. Great people. Absolutely great people. Okay, so before we pay that raid forward, couple plugs for us. Let's start with Aaron. Aaron, you want to talk about what's going on Garblag first?
Absolutely. Next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, drop on over to the Garblag channel, and we should be continuing our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition playthrough with Jim in the seat, so you can imagine all of his madcap NPCs that will follow. On Thursday, they finished up Dune this week. I'm not really sure what's going to be going on Thursday. I know there's some plans afoot, so definitely check out the Garblag Discord, and you'll be able to find out about all the upcoming shows.
Fantastic. As for us here, next show is tomorrow. We got our Call of Cthulhu game. We're going to get back to it. We're down in Mexico City. We just got started. Very excited for the new chapter. Monday, we got some Fragged Empire. We should be concluding a chapter in our Fragged Empire campaign on Monday. If you want to go see some more space shenanigans, not as grim, but still space and fun. Tuesday, we got some Frontier Scum. where we're playing our Acid Western game with Steven in the GMC. Thursday, not sure yet, but normally we'll be playing Simbroom on Thursdays, and you can catch all the episodes we already have up on Adventures and Lollygagging over on YouTube right now. And next Friday we should have more Delta Green. Otherwise, join us on Discord. Check out the podcast feed. Check out YouTube. All that fun stuff. We're going to pay the raid forward, and we're going to raid Precarious. Nice people at Precarious. They're very nice to us the last couple times, and they paid us a raid last week. So let's pay them back. Have a great rest of your night. See y'all later. Bye bye.
Later.
Good night.